Hello everyone, welcome back to Bits and Bob's Divination. My name is Caitlin, and today we're going to be looking into the energy, insights, and guidance coming through for the next 2 weeks for you. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so welcome back my beautiful kindred spirits, and anyone new who may be joining us here for the very first time today, definitely feel free to consider subscribing to this little kindred space on the internet if that's something that you're interested in, as I put out new readings every single Monday. But today's reading is all about the next 2 weeks, and as you guys know, I've had a cold over the last 2 weeks myself, and also there was quite a big tower moment that happened for me. If that's something that you're interested in learning more about, I have lots more information on my community posts. But yeah, thank you to everyone who's been sending in so much support and love over these last 2 weeks as I traverse through this tower moment. But I really do appreciate all of the patience and love and support. But yeah, today we're going to be looking at your next 2 weeks. So we'll look at the piles here in a minute to go into all the little details. But I also just want to remind you of the different ways you can support this space, especially through Pride Month, as I want to support you. Because as a queer person myself, I wanted to do an offering that would be a way to create conversation, to be proud of yourself, to really externally show your pride. And so I created crocheted earrings that I hand crochet, and I even listen to queer artists as I create them to continue to create more support within our community. You're able to get them in your specific flag colors, and lots of different ways to customize them. So if that's something you're interested in, or you maybe want to gift them to someone in your life who is also within the community, then definitely feel free and consider checking those out down below in the description. I also do snail mail readings, and you can also check out the different magical goods that I create too. But yeah, that's all of the different offerings I just want to mention real quick here at the beginning. But thank you to all of the support and love that's come through with those. But we're going to go ahead and start looking at the piles. So here for pile number 1, and with all of the piles, we have a crystal as well as an affirmation. So the affirmation that you have here for pile number 1 is laughter is the best medicine, as well as the crystal of a raw tiger's eye. So that is pile number 1. Here for pile number 2, we have the crystal of clear quartz and sort of this icy structure, as well as breathe in a fresh new start. So that is pile number 2. And then here for pile number 3, we have the crystal of yellow aventurine, as well as harvest your blessings. So that is pile number 3. So before you start heading off to your pile and checking out the timestamps, I invite you to take a deep and cleansing breath, as well as a grounding one, to really figure out which pile is really best for you, or even see if there's multiple ones and multiple paths to take here. So let's go ahead and take a deep cleansing breath together here now. As always, there's no right or wrong way to choose your pile. You can choose 1, 2, 3, all of the piles. You can choose one pile and flip-flop and change your mind. There really is no right or wrong way here. All of the timestamps will be down below, as I mentioned before, as well as within the chapter marks of this video. And you can also check out all of those offerings for those pride earrings, for my Instagram, where you can look even deeper into the different offerings that I provide, for those snail mail readings and things like that. As well as the Kindred tip jar. All of that will be down below in the description. There's lots to check out down there, so definitely have a little look-see. Thank you so much for supporting yourself through this space and supporting this space in the ways that you can. And we're going to go ahead and get started with pile number 1. Hello group 1, if you've decided to choose this raw piece of tiger's eye, as well as this affirmation of laughter is the best medicine, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to go ahead and set your affirmation down here, as we will be using those today through this, as well as the charms, several different oracle decks, and the tarot deck we're going to be using today is the Gentle Tarot. I will have all of the information on all of this down below in the description, so you can check out the different decks and supplies that I used. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. I'm feeling really chill with resetting up everything after the craziness of the last couple of weeks where I've been, but yeah, I'm just feeling like really centering back in and just hanging out with you guys today. So feel free to send your energy in, get cozy and ready to go. And let's look into your next 2 weeks here, group 1. The next 2 weeks here for group 1. All right, we already have one flying out, but let's see what else we might have. Group 1. Okay, so first off, you got the Two of Thunder. That's so interesting because this one just keeps flying out with this deck for a lot of you whenever I use it. So apparently there's definitely something you all are really connecting to collectively with this Two of Thunder. I'm also feeling this card here. So I'm going to pull it out. So we have here the Flower of Thunder as well. So lots within the mind this week. That's what I'm getting. A lot of intellect, a lot of communication, things having to do with the air element. Also, this feeling of trust is coming through as well. Let's see what else. Let's pull one more card here for group 1. I feel like I just need to shuffle. Okay, I felt like there might have been one more, but I think we're going to stick with just the one here. Okay, so we also got the Nine of Wands. All right, so we have the Nine of Wands, the Two of Thunder, and the Flower of Thunder. So right off the bat, the things that I'm noticing most is, as I mentioned already, this feeling of kind of letting yourself trust in your intuition, trust in your instincts, because it does seem that you've almost kind of protected yourself from something at the moment right now, because we have this feeling of boarding yourself off. As you can see, there is this sort of mountain lion like figure happening right here behind all of these different wands showing up, and this is like your way of being, not in a sneaky way, but just sort of kind of putting up your borders, keeping your guard up, keeping yourself safe in some way. And in the other cards that we have here, it's almost sort of showing like a story or a progression throughout time, but I don't feel like it's for you as simple as that, right? We don't go from guarded to not guarded that easily. Sometimes it depends on the people we're around, depends on who we're communicating with. And I think communication and trust are the two words that are really showing up most for me for your next 2 weeks. So the idea of trusting in yourself and trusting in others to communicate to, because I feel like you might be feeling like at the moment you're kind of needing to shelter yourself, hold yourself back, withhold parts of yourself from other people. Almost, like when you talk to your friends, you're kind of a different person than the person you talk to in the grocery store, or versus a person you talk to who's your mom or a teacher, right? We all are kind of different facets of ourselves kind of come out. And I feel like this is like your purest self, the one that's, almost in that embryonic kind of form, that childlike form, the person that is most authentic to you, kind of feeling like they need to be sheltered or hold themselves back or hold themselves deep within. And I feel like you want to sort of be able to communicate more openly who you are, right? The Flower of Thunder is very open, has open communication, wants to really share their ideas with the world loudly and boldly, like a lightning bolt is in the sky, right? It's loud, it's bold, it's open, it's electrifying. The words that come from this Flower of Thunder are very, like electrifying, right? They really have that spark. And I feel like you have ideas brewing and growing within you. You have parts of yourself, versions of yourself, beliefs about yourself, about the world. I feel like this is I feel like it's sounding really big, but I just think you really want to share more of yourself. I think you want to open up more. And I think these next 2 weeks you're going to be challenged to open up more to people who maybe you feel like you don't normally, or allowing yourself to create a safer space in which you can reveal more parts of yourself. Doesn't mean you have to be, as open maybe as this Flower of Thunder, but just sort of dipping your toes into deeper conversations with people you can trust. Maybe that's a family member, maybe it's a friend whom you're becoming more with, or just like not necessarily in a romantic way, but just like, when you go from friends or acquaintances to friends to best friends, right? I feel like you're kind of leveling up in that way by opening and being more vulnerable with these with these conversations, by opening up that communication and sharing more parts of yourself in ways maybe you felt like you weren't able to before. So those are the things that I'm getting most from this, from the cards that we have here so far. But let's go ahead and look a little bit further. So over the last few 2-week ahead readings that I've been doing over these last couple of months, I've been pulling a card for the external influences and your internal influences over the next 2 weeks. So internal being the things that you do have control over, your thoughts, your actions, your ways in which you move, the behaviors that you have. And then over here, which we'll pull first, is your external influences. So these are things that you don't have control over, the spiritual things happening, planetary alignments, or just in general, other people's feelings, thoughts, and actions. So how are those influencing your next 2 weeks? Let's look first at external influences. What is the energy for pile number 1 or group 1 here for the energy coming in externally? And definitely feel free to send your energy in. That always does make a difference. So here we go, group 1. Okay, so let's see your internal influences as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what we got here. Okay, so you got the 7 of thread here on your external influences, and that is the tapestry. It says interdependence, wisdom, and ancestry here. So it's a big tapestry, right? Built by community members, by history, by ancestry, right? These are things that take a long time and a lot of actions to build. So it's making me think that the things that are influencing this situation are the people within your community. So again, I feel like there are people in your community who very warranted, you want to have boundaries within your ancestral line, within your spiritual side, or just within your family. I feel like it's really based in your family or found family. I feel like there are like clear boundaries you have with certain people. But I think, so sorry, I think that there is a boundary that's starting to kind of waver, or ones you're wanting to kind of open the door a little bit more to, show a little bit more of the tapestry within. And I think, again, because this showed up in the external influences, they also might want to reveal a little bit more of that to you through these conversations and have it go both ways. The other things that I'm getting to with this is just this idea of like realizing that you're not alone in this either. I think there are people within your community, within your family, who might be also wanting to open up to you, wanting to kind of break down those bridges break down those barriers rather, and build bridges that maybe have been lost over time from confrontation, lack of communication, distance, however it may be in your situation. I just think that there's a bigger piece to all of this, and you all are interconnected, so I feel like the influences that are going to be happening externally is they may be wanting to reach out as well. So here, let's reveal what we got for internal influences. So, okay, here we have the 5 of ink, the solvent, which is basically for ink, the eraser. And it says mistakes, forgiveness, and mercy. Wow, does that not just... I feel like that totally makes sense with this star. It has that same kind of like branching out feeling that I was getting before. And then here we have these roses with all these thorns, right? There's this beauty to having this space and keeping these barriers and all of that kind of stuff. But it does have that thorny feeling, right? It doesn't feel as comfortable as you'd like it to be. And I think that obviously we can't erase the past. It is part of our tapestry, right? But I do think that there might be people in your life that you've had to kind of burn bridges with, and now you're maybe being able to give more forgiveness to yourself, forgiveness to them, have more mercy, see them from a different perspective. Maybe you've grown a lot more since then, matured a lot more since then, opened your line of communication since then. And I think this is giving you more space to, whether you actually act on it by actually communicating with this person, or just your own thoughts and feelings about these people or these situations that have happened in the past. I do think that your thoughts and your actions and your way in which you forgive and move through the possible difficult emotions based on the past with these people who've made you feel like you've had to put up these borders is going to change over these next 2 weeks. You're going to see them a little bit differently. You're going to be able to pick out a little bit more of those thorns, feel a little bit more comforted and see more beauty in them, or just realize that it's not a one-way street, right? That you have to be both the flower and the thorn at the same time sometimes. That sometimes we have these expectations on other people that create these barriers as well. I feel like certain things are going to hit you all from different perspectives because this is a very complex situation. So definitely take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But we're going to go ahead and move on to your final card, and then we'll be pulling your watercolor affirmation, or sorry, not your watercolor affirmations, your charms rather, right on top of the cards. So if you are enjoying this reading so far, though, definitely be sure to give this video a like. It really does help the channel so much, and I appreciate it. But let's go ahead and look at just some advice moving forward for you over these next 2 weeks here, Group 1. You've got quite a lot of heaviness with that forgiveness, a lot happening within the mind, within communication, vulnerability, and trusting in yourself, that I think a little bit of advice and guidance is needed. All right, so we have pause, which totally makes sense with what I was talking about earlier with the sort of feeling like maybe rethinking or reevaluating, and the word that we got here, and I'll go ahead and you're welcome to pause here, literally the video, but it says pause, review, rethink, reread, or reassess a situation, decision, or document today. Definitely feeling that. Avoid making decisions or plans on a whim right now. Shop around and research before making a big purchase. Get a second opinion from a trusted source. Take some time out for yourself today to recharge, or over the next 2 weeks rather. So the one that really stuck out to me was obviously this very first one: review, rethink, reread, or reassess, lots of R's, a situation, decision, or document today. And the tapestry can almost be that document, right? It's more of a historical view of it, but there may have been things like, receipts from the past, or this idea of like fact-checking everything or overthinking a situation. And maybe this is just seeing it from a new point of view that you haven't seen it before, and realizing that there's more there than just your personal view that may give you more insight on this person, on this situation, on this open line of communication, and on the idea of trust. So that is what I have. Pause can also just in general be giving yourself more breaks and more time off over the next 2 weeks in a more practical sense. But let's go ahead and look at your charms. So we're going to cast these charms right on top of the cards to see how they align. I do want to point out again, though, that you did have laughter is the best medicine. So there is a more light side of this week. Even though we have some of that heavier stuff, I do think, just like an eraser, it lightens up our mood by doing so. And I think you might feel lighter by the end of the next 2 weeks. So let's see what the charms have to say here. Group 1. Okay, not too many here, but I am going to zoom you in so you can see a little bit closer. What I find really interesting just from the start from looking at this overall is right here in the mind with that two of thunder, or also known as the Two of Swords. There is this feeling of rose-colored glasses. That's what I always see this as, right? Looking at the world from a rose-colored glasses kind of view, looking at it from a very, sometimes you can see it as a rose-colored view, right? Where you're looking at everything and it's like filtered and beautiful and like that sunshiny feeling. But what I'm getting more from this is this feeling of looking at the world from only one view is what I'm getting more so. And you had it straight on like your world view. So it's making me think again, like you're only seeing the world from one perspective, and opening that communication is going to give you more of that lightness, that understanding that you may be lacking at the start of this next 2 weeks. Because we also got the bells here, which makes me think of the judgment card. which is all about evolving, maturing, seeing things from a perspective that's new, right? It's from moving from childhood to teenhood to this. Like it's like a level up. So in this case, I feel like you're hearing yourself more and realizing that there's more of a level up happening for you in terms of how you view the world and the people in it, and how that affects the boundaries that you have with them and the way that you may feel more vulnerable or less vulnerable with them, more open or closed. The other thing we had, where I talked about that very first one with review, rethink, reread, that whole sort of thing, we had react. So whenever I see this one, it can be like how you react to this. But it also makes me think that you are reassessing a situation. Again, we have another but this one's about action. So I feel like you're going to look back at the actions you've had with this person, with the actions that you've been having where you feel like you have to kind of keep yourself shelled in or holding parts of yourself back, and maybe reassessing maybe why that is, rethinking it, and seeing if there might be more paths and avenues forward than you had originally thought. Because again, like I feel like you're looking at the world from only one perspective, and this is giving you multiple perspectives to make actions on. And another reason why I say that is because you got the patterns charm. So I always see this as repeating patterns, repeating habits, repetition, and using that as a safety net. And we had that at avoid making decisions or plans on a whim right now. And so that may have to do with that you feel like you've maybe been doing that in the past, and that's been something you've kind of been tacked down on. But just in general, I get this feeling of like that safety net of keeping just to the same old rhythms that you've always had. The other thing that I got here too is the 9 of Wands, and next to the tapestry, we have what I see is like a spiritual leader, or I see it as like just the idea of spirituality or connecting with spirit in some way. That's coming through with that 9 of Wands. So I do think that, again, trusting not only in yourself, but in your spiritual side may give you more guidance on the situation, in accordance with this tapestry and these external influences. So yeah, very big week, very influential week, very much a week of the mind, for these next 2 weeks rather. But I do think it's just going to get easier as you move through it, and you gain more of that perspective. So I do hope you enjoyed this reading today, that you got something out of it, that it was helpful in some way. If it was, definitely be sure, as I said earlier, to give this video a like. It really does help. And let me know in the comments down below how it resonated for you. I love to hear your thoughts. If the charms hit you in a very specific way, as always, use your own intuition. You may see different things that came up for you specifically, and definitely read into those. But that is all that I have here for you today. If you'd like to subscribe to this channel, definitely be sure to, as I put out new readings every single Monday for love, career, spirituality, these 2-week readings, other kinds of monthly readings, and so much more. The next one will be a monthly reading, so definitely look out for that. And if you're interested in supporting this channel, supporting this space, I would love for you to check out the different snail mail readings that I do, as well as pride earrings that I'm making this month, so you can show off your own pride, or if you have a friend who's within the community, and you'd like to support them in some way, that's another great way to be able to do so, as you can do their specific flag colors and all that fun jazz. So with all of that said, I hope you enjoyed this reading. Definitely be sure to check everything out down below alongside the Kindred tip jar, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Hello group 2, if you've decided to choose this piece of clear quartz, as well as breathe in a new fresh start here, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to leave your affirmation down here, and we'll see if it connects with the rest of your pile, but we're also going to be using the charms as well as several different oracle decks, which I'll have all of this listed in the description down below. But we're also going to be using the Gentle Tarot here for your tarot deck for this reading. So let's go ahead and get started here. I definitely am very excited. I've been having a lot of fun. I haven't been able to film for quite a while based off of the situation that I put in my community post if you want to read more about what's been going on. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and get into your next 2 weeks. Definitely feel free to get settled and send in your energy, and we're going to go. So here we go. Group 2. What do you have coming in for the next 2 weeks? Group 2, what energy, insights, and guidance are coming through? Let's see. So the first one that we have here is the Hanged One. So here we are with the Hanged One. This is about moving through a new phase, also sometimes stagnation, boredom, or also just needing to see things from a new perspective, a new position. So let's see how that relates to the other cards you might be getting here for the next 2 weeks for group 2 with this Hanged One card. Group 2. Okay, interesting. So yeah, we've got the 9 of Stones showing up here, as well as the Hanged One and the Wheel of Fortune. Very much a seasonal change, very much a phase that is changing here, right? We have this cyclical energy moving through. I'm honestly, I'm getting this feeling of like wanting to move forward, wanting to move to the next phase, wanting to kind of level up or change up your situation, because I feel like you're almost getting too comfortable, because here we have the 9 of Stones, and the 9 of Stones showcases a comfortability, hitting a level of success in your business, in your life, in whatever way that you feel you are successful at this time. Obviously, it doesn't have to be the way that society views success, but your personal version of success. I just feel like you feel really at one, feel very like calm, very steady, but I feel like you're ready for a challenge. I feel like you're ready for a change up. You're ready to do something a little bit different. You're ready for the wind to swoop through the trees and change things for you. And I don't think the change is going to happen just naturally like we have with that Wheel of Fortune. I don't think that like all of a sudden you're going to have a huge windstorm that makes everything have to change, or you have a tower moment, because we don't have the tower here. It has to be a change you decide to make, is what I'm getting mostly. That you need to make the ball move forward. And I think you want to, and I think that there's definitely potential for that to happen, because we have the Wheel of Fortune, which is all about luck, taking risks, moving yourself forward, or allowing a shift to happen, and following and leading, seeing where it leads. But with the Hanged One, it also showcases this feeling, like I said, of stagnation, of boredom, of having to just keep swinging back and forth, doing the same thing over and over again. But you're gaining that new perspective. You're gaining a new look at life, because I think before you felt like there was only one way to do it, that this way always worked, so why rock the boat, right? You stack the stones. Why would you take down the stones to just stack them back up the exact same way? Because you're getting that new perspective, you're realizing that there's more stones available to you. There's more opportunities to grab and grasp. So I really think you're in, like, over these next 2 weeks, if someone calls you up with an opportunity, or you get an email about some new opportunity with your job, or maybe a new opportunity with your kids, or with your person, or something like that, or maybe a friend calls you and that's a new opportunity for you to step out of your comfort zone in some way, however that may show up for you, but it's about stepping outside of your comfort zone. It might be a good time to just sort of swing into it and see what happens, because with all of these cards, you can see they have open hands, open arms, open to just receive and see what comes of it. And I do think that that risk of trying something new is going to really benefit you in this, because we are so far not getting anything that's showcasing a reason why not to. Even the bird has that open arm feeling, and these birds aren't moving. So again, it's like making sure you don't get stuck in the same old. So allowing yourself to step out of the same old. So anyway, I don't want to just keep going over the same thing. Let's move on to the next 2 cards that we're going to pull here. For the last 2 readings the last 2 week readings that I've been doing a fun thing where I pull a external influence and internal influence, influencing your next 2 weeks. So external influences are the things and the energy and people's actions that are outside of your control. So, right, you can't control a person's feelings, how they're going to act on them, and all of that kind of thing. So how is that influencing this situation? But also the internal influences are the things that you can control: your feelings, your behaviors, your habits, your actions, those sorts of things. So let's see first what is happening here in the external influences on this situation with the Wheel of Fortune, the Hanged One, that Nine of Stones, this open feeling. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the top card, actually. I know I was pulling from the middle, but like all of a sudden I just felt like we need to pull from the top. And so what we got here is the festival. So it says celebration, fun, and material goods. Okay, so this has kind of changed the narrative. So like I said, this opportunity, like I was talking about earlier, might come from a friend wanting to maybe ask you out to dinner or to go out in some way. I feel like it's something this new opportunity is going to come from something that is through shopping or from getting out of the house or going on an adventure or going to a festival, going to a concert, going to something that is more social and also kind of outside of the typical places that you would go to, right? So maybe you always go to music festivals, but you don't typically go to like a little picnic in the park. So it doesn't have to be something big, but it's just whatever that may be that's outside of your comfort zone and outside of your house. Usually it's something that you're probably going to be moving like physically to go see. So let's see what's happening in your internal influences. So what is internally that flew so fast for you right now? So we have the Waters and the Seer. We had two fly out for you. The first one that flew out was the Waters. So we'll look at that first. It says relief, rejuvenation, and rest. And then what you also got is the Seer here. And it says intuition, divination, and foresight. So with those mixed together, and I almost see like, right, there's this hole and this circle happening here. And I feel like there's just something to see there with that cyclical energy that you have coming in all of these different forms. Even here, you have it all branching out. I feel like you've been stuck in that cycle, right? So your action is to go with the flow. The Water is all about going with the flow, just following the path and seeing where it takes you. And so this is that feeling of like just saying yes or just trying something from a new perspective, because you're going to see more than you would have before. You're going to experience more. You're going to write something new in your book, in your life, right? Something new to write in your diary, something new to put down in life because it got too comfortable and you're ready to ride you're ready to ride life again. So yeah, very simple, very direct message coming through with that is just the actions that you can take are to go with the flow. And that's going to be around things like festivals, going out, socializing, those sorts of things. So let's see what else is coming in for you for your middle card here. This is going to be an advice message. So something of advice or guidance from spirit or yourself, higher self, however you wish to send that energy through. But over the next 2 weeks, let's see what you need possibly for advice or guidance on this situation over the next 2 weeks for group 2. You know what? I'm honestly feeling this one. Okay. So we have a little bit more showing up here. The first one that I got, now I feel like I need to pull it out too, just in case one of you needed it. I'll probably put it back though. You can read through this if you'd like, but we had breakthrough show up for some of you, but I also was getting you are not alone. And it says here, and feel free, as I mentioned before, to pause. But it says here, have the courage to reach out for support today or over these next 2 weeks. Practice loving acceptance towards yourself. Manage your expectations of yourself and others. Make time to connect with others today. Definitely feeling that one. You're needed and you matter. You're needed and you matter. A lonely season of your life will soon pass. Okay, so this has given me another layer, right? So where I was talking before, you're feeling comfortable. It can also be that you've been very comfortable with just being by yourself or just kind of sticking to the people you've always known, sticking to the routines you've always known, sticking to that kind of thing, and having the idea of a breakthrough. And then all of a sudden this you are not alone is making me think that like you're ready to socialize, and that could be something that's very difficult at the moment, or maybe you're feeling like going with the flow is definitely like taking a risk, trying to go out of what is your safety net. But I do think, like it says, have the courage to reach out for that support if you need it when it comes to wanting to go in this new direction, but also connecting with others and knowing that you can do it at your own pace. You don't have to go to something big if that feels too uncomfy. You can do it at your own pace. The Wheel of Fortune has luck on your side, and also it showcases that you can take it, one season at a time, one step at a time. It doesn't have to be something that's this huge leap, right? We don't have to have the waterfall moment. We can just be moseying down that river and seeing where it takes us as well, using your own intuition on the situation and knowing that you're not alone in this. Like I said before we move on to your charms, we did have breathe in a fresh new start. So that is giving me that same feeling of allowing yourself to try something new. But to do that, you might need that fresh air feeling that a breath can give you, that refresh, that restart. And so some people want to start by just literally putting the pedal to the metal kind of feeling. Yours might need to be a little bit more free-flowing and a little bit more gentle in a way. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to your charms here. We're going to use these to cast right on top of the cards and see what comes through. It might show up on different messages or different places. Definitely use your own intuition with these. You might look at different charms here and see something very specific. Definitely listen to your own intuition, especially since you got the Seer card. But let's see the charms that are needed here for the next 2 weeks for group 2. Okay, we've got a lot of charms. So let's see what you got. I'll zoom you in here. So right off the bat, the thing that showed up for you is right on you are not alone. We got the number 2, which showcases partnership, friendship, communication, and also a relationship of some sort, right? So 2 and 2, a very one-on-one kind of feeling. So seeing as you got it on you are not alone, and you have this idea of a friendship or someone coming in to remind you of that, that's really lovely to have that support as you move through this. The number that you got here is the number 10, in case that's a lucky number for you, seeing as we did have that lucky feeling that I was getting from the Wheel of Fortune. It did show up here next to intuition, so maybe this will happen on the 10th, maybe even past these next 2 weeks, but it also can just be showcasing something there specifically for some of you. The other ones that I got here is we had the idea of risk showing up again. So this is like the gambling charm, right? A little gambling chip. And you had it showing up here on acceptance. Practice loving acceptance towards yourself today. So I feel like it's almost like for you, a risk is to allow yourself to branch out, and obviously that's a risk because you're feeling that, but I feel like it's allowing yourself to do it, to have it, to grasp for it, because I feel like there could be a bit, not really in doubt in yourself, but rather like a feeling of like an expectation that's been placed on you to be the perfect person, that you have the perfect job, the perfect things, everything's aligning, you're always in this perfect, comfortable world. And I think people don't realize that you have more going on underneath the surface than they realize, and that's why they may think you doing this sort of thing is a risky thing or outside of your character. And that's why you maybe have to give yourself permission to reject the ideas and expectations others as well as yourself may have placed on yourself, right? We sometimes just stick with the rhythms that have always been working, the scripts that have been placed on us, these expectations, and this is you breaking that script, having that breakthrough moment to try something new, and allowing yourself and accepting that this can be a part of you too, that we don't have to be the same person, that you're moving into a new cycle in life, a new cycle in yourself. We also have manage your expectations of yourself and others, which we were basically just talking about that with expectations. And then we have healing showing up here with the star. The star can talk about guidance. So again, acceptance, as well as moving through these expectations, maybe something that's going to guide you forward. But I also am just mostly getting the rejuvenation, the refresh kind of element that we get here with the star. Other things showing up, we have the guiding light charm. So this is, I always think of it as like a little compass or a lighthouse in that way, right? It's our guiding light. It lets us know what's coming up. And then we have it next to the number 10 as well as the spring forward charm. So this is like I said, it's coming from a calm place. Like I feel like you should be more gentle in allowing yourself to move through these. But the idea of breaking these expectations might spring you forward into new opportunities that are guiding you forward at the time. Because we have 2 charms that are talking about guidance. And I think that listening to your own intuition and breaking down those barriers of expectation are going to be really useful in springing you forward. Because in the past, they've kind of left you feeling like, even though you have it all, the perfect job, the perfect person, the perfect this, it doesn't mean it's always making you feel happy or whole. So again, these are things that you're having to work through at this time. The last thing that we got here on the waters with relief, rejuvenation, and rest is the magician charm. This makes me think of Mickey. Oh, I actually hadn't talked about this one as well, which definitely connects because I was kind of getting more of the Mickey Mouse side of this charm. So this feeling of like fairy tales and that kind of thing. And I don't know about you guys, but I was one of those Disney Channel kids. And so whenever I was sick and at home and rejuvenating and resting, I would always just put on like a classic cartoon or something with Mickey, or something like that. So for you, whatever that comfort is, you might need still some of that, right? You don't have to change up everything. You're still allowed to lean into that comfort too. The last thing that we have here on the hanged one is the inner child charm. So this is a little picture of like 6th grader me probably. And so this is like giving your inner teen, your younger adult, your inner child, however you may feel, whatever person or older version of yourself that needs a little bit of love. Maybe even it's what's making you feel like you're not alone, right? Reminding yourself that maybe you've had to go through this phase before is showing up here with the hanged one. So again, giving your past self a little bit of love over these next 2 weeks could be really useful in that healing as well. So those are all of your charms and your cards here. I'll go ahead and zoom you out so you can see them a little bit better here again. But if you did enjoy this reading, definitely be sure to give this video a like. It really does help so much and I appreciate it. So thank you to everyone who has. And also let me know in the comments down below how this resonated. Like I mentioned before, we had that seer. So really, I would be curious to see what you saw in this. Like maybe you saw the seasons differently. Maybe you saw the water for a different reason. The number 2 or 10 resonates differently. I would love to hear your thoughts. Also, if you're new to the channel or you haven't already, as I know a lot of you have, you would like to watch these videos but don't necessarily subscribe, definitely feel free and consider subscribing to this Kindred community. I would love to see you and be able to read for you more often as I put out new readings every single Monday on this channel, as well as on my Instagram. I do little fun readings and things over there, sharing my insights. So definitely feel free to subscribe or check that out. And also, if you'd like to support this community and really give this place a little bit better of a foundation, I would love if you check out the different snail mail readings that I do, as well as the Pride earrings that I am crafting up this month for Pride Month. As a queer person myself, I really wanted to do something to give back to the community and create a space that felt safe and to allow new conversations to bloom through these earrings and to feel very validated in who you are. Not that you necessarily need that external validation, but it is nice sometimes. So definitely feel free to check those out if you would like to get them for a friend or for yourself with your specific flag colors and all of that. They're very customizable. But yeah, you can also check out the Kindred tip jar and the other types of offerings that I provide. All of the information on that will be down below. But yeah, thank you so much for being here and seeing what your next 2 weeks holds. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. Hello group 3, if you've decided to choose this piece of yellow Aventurine as well as Harvest Your Blessings as your watercolor affirmation, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to go ahead and set this one down for you so you can see it during the reading, as it may actually have more impact, we'll see, but Harvest Your Blessings. But we're also going to be using the charms as well as several different oracle decks, which I'll have all of this listed in the description down below. But we're also going to be using the Gentle Tarot here for your tarot reading part of it. So let's go ahead and get started. Definitely feel free to get settled, grab some tea, some water, a nice snack, however you feel you would like to get comfortable. And feel free to send your energy in through time and space. That always does help. But let's go ahead and lock on into your energy and get started on your reading here for the next 2 weeks, group 3. So what's coming in energetically over the next 2 weeks for group 3? Group 3, the next 2 weeks for group 3. The next 2 weeks for group 3 here. Okay, so we have the High Priestess showing up here first and foremost with the owl. I'm feeling this wise energy, a slow down energy that's been showing up with almost, I think, all 3 piles. There's been this feeling of like slowing down and considering things. So it's definitely a collective idea of kind of rethinking, reevaluating. But let's see what else is coming up with this High Priestess over the next 2 weeks. Definitely feel free to send your energy in. As I mentioned before, it definitely does make a difference. Let me get one more card here for you. Group 3, the next 2 weeks. Okay, that's a lot of cards. Let's see. All right, let's just go ahead and take all of them. I thought we had more there, but we're going to just go ahead and take them all. So we have here the Four of Wands, which is all about celebrating yourself, being open, being authentic, feeling so joyful and like you've gotten to the next phase and you're ready to move forward to the next thing. It's kind of a bridge of enjoying where you've come, realizing how far you've come and enjoying the steps forward that you're ready to take. But then coming right after that, we also have the Eight of Cups as well as the Ten of Thunder. The Ten of Thunder being sort of overthinking or feeling like you're kind of alone in a situation, but realizing that you have people still there to back you. And then the Eight of Cups has this feeling of needing to sort of move forward and realize that you are able to heal through a situation and mend and to grow. So very different energies, right? We've got this huge celebration, kind of in conflict with this idea of like feeling alone or feeling like you don't have it necessarily together, or like you need to leave a situation for a while. And that's what I'm getting mostly from this, is this all of them have this idea of rest, rethinking, stopping for a moment and reevaluating the situation. And I'm almost feeling like, just in general, like the idea of a pros and cons list popped up for me for a few of you that might be really useful over the next 2 weeks, is creating a pros and cons list as a way of sort of mending and moving through the situation. Because I almost feel like this is sort of how the cards are presenting themselves to me. This idea of like you having your cons and your pros to something that you want to move forward on, because you're not sure what to leave behind and what to move forward that's going to make you feel joyful. That's what I'm getting. So I feel like there's a decision that you're needing to make, or reevaluating a way in which you want to move through the world, that some of the cups just can't come with you. And to move forward, like I said, there's just things that you're kind of carrying and holding that aren't nourishing. And then there are things that are super nourishing that you want to, revel in and enjoy in life. So if you have someone in your life, I'm kind of almost feel like there might be someone as well as maybe yourself kind of getting in the way. But I feel like your pile isn't specific to any specific person, or even a situation, but more so a mindset that you're going to be moving through over the next 2 weeks is what I'm getting more of. This idea of, with every situation that you find yourself in over the next 2 weeks, is sort of allowing yourself to have that pros and cons list going on in your head and realizing, like watching TV, the pros and cons to it, going outside, pros and cons to it, going to this meeting, pros and cons to it. I feel like by making these things, you're going to realize what is nourishing to you and what isn't nourishing to you over the next 2 weeks. So you can break habits and realize what is good structures in your lives and what life, and one that is building you up, and the ones that are kind of holding you back and kind of sucking life out. And I feel like somebody maybe wants to rain on your parade. Maybe you are even wanting to rain on your parade. And sometimes we just continue to move through the rain in the parade anyway, even though there are better routes and even though there are better days to have the parade, if that makes any sense. I feel like your pile, like I said, is very free flowing, so definitely feel free to take what resonates and leave what doesn't. I feel like there's certain like messages that are just like spiking at me, and it doesn't always necessarily have like a clean structure of like get a new job, or you're gonna get in a relationship, you're gonna do this, like these like life action moments. Yours is more reflective, more introspective, which is sometimes harder to explain. So like I said, definitely feel free to keep what resonates and leave what doesn't. But I think that most importantly over the next 2 weeks is just to really evaluate what is useful to you and purge what isn't. So let's go ahead and move further into your reading. So I want to look into your external influences and your internal influences. So these are things that are going to be influencing the situation, but externally, these are the ones that are other people's thoughts, actions, behaviors, ways of thinking, things happening in society, those sorts of things you don't have control over. And then we're going to look into the internal influences. So these are the things you do have control over, your thoughts, your actions, your feelings, the way you move through the world. So let's see first the external influences over the next 2 weeks. What is going to be externally happening in this situation? Okay, so we have the 3 of thread, and this is the knot, and it says promises, bonds, and remembrance. But let's go ahead and get a little bit further here. Let's look at your internal as well. So the internal influences over the next 2 weeks here for group 3. Internal influences, my goodness. Lots of cards were just flying out today. So the next one that we got here is the ritual, magic, power, and action, alongside the family, kinship, belonging, and collaboration. So those are the 2 other cards that you got for your internal influences. Okay, so the things that I am getting from this, especially with the 8 of Cups and this idea, like I said, of there's structures in your life, there's actions in your life that you can be taking that are useful to you. You may be feeling like I said, a ritual is something that I'm almost getting this feeling of like a family gathering that maybe you're having to do a pros and cons list with, or even just like found family or friendships. But I just feel like you have this promise, right? This promise, this bond, this remembrance, going to a certain situation in which you all always connect to. You always do this. It's a ritual you always do with these people. And maybe it's just kind of not really you anymore, or it's not a place you feel safe in anymore, or there's some reason where the pros are outweighing the cons are outweighing the pros anymore. And you still feel obligated to go. You still feel obligated as if you aren't allowed to move forward regardless. And I think really sitting on this, I'm not going to be able to make the choice for you, obviously, but I do think it's careful consideration is needed at this time to realize what is a blessing in your life and what is a hindrance, and is holding you back from the beauty of this card, right? You want to probably feel this 4 of Wands, I would hope anyway. And I feel like there are people in your life who are kind of chaining you down or creating this obligation that you no longer can withhold, or you maybe no longer wish to withhold. So that's what I'm getting mostly from these cards. They really were working together. But let's go ahead and I'll move that out of the way and pull you one final card before we move on to your charms for the extra information we'll pull from them. Sorry, losing my voice a bit here, but we're going to go ahead and pull you an advice card. And I really do think, like I said, the advice that's already coming through is just that pros and cons, reevaluating, and really sitting with your intuition, your instincts, and this reminding yourself to put yourself first is what I'm really getting so far. But let's see what else is coming through for you for guidance from spirit, from yourself, your higher self, however you wish to view it. But the next 2 weeks here, group 3, the guidance coming through for group 3 here. An advice card, group 3. Definitely feel free to send your energy in. Group 3, okay, there we go. Okay, so we got 2 different cards here, and the first one that came out here is Life Changes, and it says, do something out of your comfort zone today. Continue pursuing a goal while adapting to changes that occur along the way. Have faith that things will work out for the best. Make positive changes in your life, work, or relationship or situation now. A change you're experiencing is for your highest good. So that is what we have here for life changes. And then you also got speak your truth. So already definitely feeling that with all of this. Practice being assertive. Have an open and honest discussion with someone today. Speak up if someone isn't respecting your boundaries. Ask for your needs to be met. Public speaking and leadership are a part of your divine mission and life path. Put yourself out there and let yourself shine. So really what I'm getting is ask for your needs to be met and really having someone respect your boundaries, because like I said, I feel like there's definitely a pro and con to going to this family gathering or going to whatever this ritual is, this feeling of a promise that you've made to someone or made to yourself, that it's not all cons. There are pros to still going. There's people maybe that you want to see, or there's reasons that you want to be there. And maybe you need to gain those boundaries, be assertive with the people who don't realize that maybe they are causing this feeling that you may be seeing and feeling from just looking at this 10 of Thunder card, this feeling of overwhelm, of feeling like you have them sort of backing you in a corner. Versus feeling like you can fly. So I do think there is this feeling of life changes and your changes that you're going to be making in your life by speaking your truth. And I feel like speaking your truth is really needed at this time. So that in conjunction with the Harvest Your Blessings really pulls this all together. But I want to see your last little pieces come through here. So we're going to go ahead and pull some charms as well to finish off your reading here. Definitely be sure to send in your energy, your thoughts, your feelings, and read these however they come up for you. You may see different numbers, different symbolism that comes through that I don't necessarily mention, but is still going to be important. So feel free to play around with these. But here we go, group 3, the next 2 weeks. Okay, lots of different ones. Let's go ahead and zoom you in so you can see a little bit better here. Okay, so the things that we got here. Okay, so right off the bat with that feeling of feeling tied down, we have with this 10 of Thunder, we have the tied down charm. This is like a twisty tie. It's really easy to get out of, but also really easy to get stuck in as well. If you turn it the wrong way or you go the wrong way. So I feel like you have a decision to make in how you want to navigate the situation with those lists, with that reevaluating the situation, using your intuition to really do so. Other things that we had on this same card, you got like the honey pot. It always makes me think of like a little honey pot, like Winnie the Pooh. But we also have the word hope showing up here on the honey pot. So it's making me think that like it's kind of like this card, right? Finding the hope, excavating the hope in every situation, excavating the honey that you would find, the sweetness of a situation, and sweetening back up a situation that feels really difficult at this time. So I feel like a situation, a ritual, a promise, a bond that you've made maybe feels really like full of weight at this time. But I feel like you're going to be sweetening it back up or finding ways to sweeten it back up through those boundaries or through reevaluating it. and speaking your truth on it, because we also got here on the High Priestess, we got the little sugar skull here. So again, ancestors may be coming in, remembrance in that same way that we also had remembrance showing up with the three of thread. So this may be someone within your community that has passed, and maybe that's why you're feeling maybe kind of confused about it or feeling low about it. It being the promise or bond with them, but that might be showing up here as well, this feeling of remembrance and remembering them over the next 2 weeks as well. Other things that are showing up here, we have speak up if someone isn't respecting your boundaries, and then we have the temporary energy. So again, it might be that you had to repeat yourself many times, and especially since you got both paper clips, I just realized that you've had to probably speak your truth to this person many times, or you've thought about doing it many times, and this might be the time that you kind of break that cycle, because we have the breaking the cycle charm, as well as the security key. So this makes me think it says guard and security on it. So this makes me think again, like you're really unlocking, or rather locking up a boundary with them and really creating a more solid one, versus the one that feels very temporary to them or in their eyes. Like they're like, oh, well, yeah, sure, it's fine, and this is you actually breaking that. Just realized you also had one hiding out over here at the top, and it's the swan, and the swan, is all about beauty or seeing more beauty in a situation, but swans can be also very protective of loved ones and ones they care about. So again, that might be showing up even more with that situation. So that is all of the charms that we have here showing up for you for the next 2 weeks. I do hope you enjoyed this reading. I'll go ahead and zoom you out a little bit so you can see everything. But yeah, if you did enjoy it, definitely be sure to give this video a like. It really does help the channel so much. And also let me know in the comments down below. Maybe you have a thing with Winnie the Pooh and that showed up for you, or maybe keys have a different meaning for you, butterflies or other symbolism. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, if you have been on this channel before and maybe you'd like to see more of the readings that I put out every single Monday, then definitely feel free and consider subscribing, as I'd love to have you within this little community that we have here. Also, if you would like to support this space even further, I have a couple of different ways you can do that. So I have the snail mail readings that I do. So these are readings I send to you in the mail for you to enjoy and treasure. But I also have a Kindred tip jar down below, as well as pride earrings that I crochet and hand make for all of you who may be interested. So these are ways to show your pride this month, but also to open conversations, to be more vulnerable, to really show more parts of yourself, and to really live in that queer joy. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely feel free to check those out down below. As a queer person myself, I really wanted to create something that I think would be really useful in our community at this time. So definitely feel free to check out all of those different ways down below. And yeah, happy Pride Month. I hope you enjoy over these next 2 weeks all of this, that which can be blessings for you. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.